the state investigates the first potential coronavirus-related death here in the island.
The state announced its second COVID-19 death today.
And the CDC says while people 65 or older and those with underlying health conditions are most at risk for coronavirus, anyone can catch it.
The total number of COVID-19 cases on Hawaii Island reached more than 1,000 this week.
COVID is a real thing. So then I started hearing rumblings of we have to get ready for distance learning. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is real.
If you're to ride a roller coaster and you take that deep drop and you're panicking, wondering when this drop is going to end, it was kind of that feeling.
We are at war. We're on a war footing now in fighting this virus.
The world has turned upside down. We just got a swift kick in the pants to move into the 21st century. And how do we do that?
I think there was a lot of fear and confusion initially, and I think the fear was, how do we communicate?
For the ones that were very technological, capable, it was an opportunity. For others, it was like, there is so much, where do I even begin?
I first noticed about it after, that initial shock wore off, is that these could be some opportunities for us to build our teachers' tool belts, right? Their skills.
How do we do this? How do we do school now? This is serious. We may not see our kids for a while.
Waikalua once taught me to look for the deeper meanings in things. And she taught me this word, a'o, that in the midst of learning, one can be a teacher. And in the midst of teaching, one can be a learner. We invite you to come on this journey with us as we explore these 4 stories in the hopes that we will stir some passion in you for our teachers that have had to be at the forefront of this journey, and most of all, for our families and our kids that deserve the best from all of us. And we hope that you will be able to see the silver linings that we have begun to see. One small success, one school, one student, one family at a time.
How do we prepare our students to be global citizens in this world that understand their kuleana, their responsibility to take care of the land and the people, not only for Hawaii and their own community, but looking at it from a global perspective. We believe in hands-on, place-based, project-based learning. We try to get our students out onto farms, into the water, onto va'a, onto voyaging canoes. One of the biggest events of their time at Malama Honua, which is the defense, and defense is an opportunity for our students to teach really our mission and vision of the school. All of the knowledge and experiences that they've had while they've been with us, synthesize this information and then present it to a panel and be able to explain the synthesis of information and why this is important to them.
And we had already by March put together portfolios. The kids had already selected a Mind of the Navigator skill to defend. They had already selected artifacts that they wanted to use in their defense. So a lot of that was already in place. So for me, it would have been terrible to tell the kids, oh, we're not going to do them,
Part of our program is that they have to present to a live audience. So how do you do that?
Just how do you tape your presentation? I had found a program that was recommended by another school, Loom. I don't know if you guys know what that is, Loom. And kids would be able to tape themselves and have their Google slide presentation appear at the same time.
The Mind of a Navigator skill that I defended was environmental awareness. And environmental awareness to me means being aware of not just your environment and the other people around you, but yourself. My Ōlelo no ea was he ali'i ka aina he kaua ke kanaka, and that means the land is chief and we are its servants. if we provide for the land and take care of the land and be aware of the land, then the land will provide for us.
You couldn't respond in the moment like you can when you're in person. You couldn't see what the struggle was in front of you and then address it right away.
I think that performance assessment does require our students to step up and show what they know and can do in ways that a paper pencil test will not do, in ways that a standardized test definitely will not hit.
Going through the videotaping and then going through the interview process, I think that built a lot of confidence in her, where now she speaks up a little more than I would wish for her to, but it's helped, you know, and I've always wanted that for her. I always wanted that voice in her to speak out, but I think the defense has allowed her to find herself in a way where she's becoming a little bit more confident in knowing what she knows and being able to present it or share it with whoever she's with.
The outcome was rich, not only in the content that we saw, but also the depth of reflection and their ability to then, after they do their online version, be able to stand in front of an authentic live audience and take questions like you would in any defense, where the panel is grilling them, really. Like, explain your thinking. Why did you select this artifact? Tell me more about why this expresses your confident cultural identity.
It went good. I passed my defense on the first try.
Did you get your message across, and did you get it across well enough? And if you didn't, then I could say, well, maybe you can tweak this part, or maybe you should retape that part. So all of those things that you can do when you're pre-taping something, that the final product was kind of mind-blowing. I was like, whoa, that's really good.
The first feeling that I felt was heartbroken, especially in March, because, you know, there's so many things, you know, we want to do and prepare, and so many things at a 6th grade level. When it came to Ho'ike, we had our king and queen in our class, and we had preparations for their Holomua graduation, and all of that was set and prepared. And so when we got that announcement and it was official, when we would do our Google Meets together, it was just a time for us to kind of just like cry about it.
It was kind of weird because I'm not used to like waking up and going straight onto a computer and just doing school on that. We don't really get the same feel as like being in a classroom.
My thing is filling in that gap between parents and the school, the teachers. Communicate, I think that's the best key, and we can get through it.
More parents started to be, present. The last couple of parent meetings we've had it drive-in style in our parking lot, and the turnout was fantastic.
Everyone in the community and our families were relying on social media to be up to date with news and what was going on.
DOE was trying to get devices to all families, and the lead teacher, Lily, couldn't wait. She wanted to be sure that the kids had after-school program, and so they used the Facebook.
Social media was a way where I can shoot it one time to everyone, and for us as a team to kind of shoot it from different places, a platform that we use for our families to come on and kind of see daily what's going on at school, but also we provided activities, lessons. I also have a Blanche Elementary School Gardens page. I took whatever we had at school that we kind of started in our own garden and started a static hydroponics at my own hale. What we did there is we ended up changing my house into a classroom, and so I would post it on our social media pages on the things that I was doing, and kind of like call it the diary of a mad COVID teacher, but I kind of changed it up a bit.
And what she did was more than just enriching activities like cooking and gardening. She also connected with the community organizations. They would announce when certain things were happening in the community that parents can access. So she took a look at the whole family and their needs, and not just the academic and enrichment.
When one is sharing like, hey, there's food distribution going on over here at Waimanalo Beach Park, then everyone just starts, sharing them. And I feel like that's what I think they're needing right now, is they're needing support in the home.
One thing that I was very impressed with as an administrator was my teachers taking up the technology. It's almost like building the plane and flying it. They've been figuring out the tech platforms and utilizing it at the same time.
I think it's easier with the communication because I'm with my teacher almost 24/7 for majority of the day. It's kind of more easier to like contact her if I need help or anything. And like she always tells us that to like make sure that if we need help, make sure you just go straight to her.
With the help of our school and community, we pulled through and we had their convoy Holomua celebration with everyone in our faculty, our Puohala lineup. We went across each and every sixth grader, and we were even able to distribute their sixth grade jacket that was special with their logo on it.
It does take a village to raise a child, family involvement, the school involvement, community partner involvement, the local community, just coming to play a part in a child's academic success. And not just academic success, but just well-being,
We're here on campus, we're working on campus, but it doesn't feel like how it always did with children being around. And that's what we gotta appreciate. We gotta appreciate the life that our school brings, and that's our children. We still gonna love on them through those screens, but at the same time too, we're missing them so much. We're missing them so much, because they're a reason why we do what we do.
Pacific American Foundation has really focused on bridging indigenous wisdom of the Native Hawaiian culture with contemporary science, technology, and all of those kinds of things in the context of this place that we're at, Waikalua Loko Fishpond, and be able to build these bridges in creative and innovative ways to combine cultural aspects into teaching the four core areas of academics: math, science, social studies, and language arts. After the first quarter was done, we were coming up on summer, and we had to create a program now, a virtual program for kids from 4th grade to 8th grade that never been to an ancient Hawaiian fish pond before. And we had to deliver a 2-week program, to teach them about the local i'a.
We had this concept to put together a summer camp. And it was originally going to be a traditional summer camp, drop off in the morning, pick up in the afternoon. One of the first things we thought of was, well, what about doing some type of virtual reality component that will engage kids, and not just engage kids in an activity, but engage them in place, and looking at it from all of those different perspectives: the perspective of a cultural practitioner, the perspective of a scientist, the perspective of a land manager, the perspective of a student and a resident of this community. While we can't all sit around a table and make robotic arms together, we're gonna make a video on how to do that. We're gonna do it live. We're gonna get all the pieces and parts in a bag. In fact, we're gonna take everything, all the supplies the kids are gonna need for every day, and put it into a bag and have parents pick it up. And in a lot of cases, we dropped it off. We got them together in Zoom. We went ahead and we went through Ōlelo and protocol, and we had these wonderful morning pico, these morning circles, virtual. While we were doing that, one of the things we explored was using Minecraft as a way to get kids together, because in Minecraft, your avatars are actually in the same place, and they can see each other and they can chat with each other. But I have to give a huge shout out to Alan Tong and Brianna Tengen from UH College of Engineering. And they actually created this island with 4 ahupua'a the kids would spawn into, and they would spawn onto voyaging canoes. The idea is they have just arrived at a new island, and how are we going to modify this landscape so that we can thrive there, and so that the environment can thrive there? Because if we just take from place and don't recharge place, then the place is gonna run out of food. And that's issue we're in right now is we're tapping our resources without reciprocating. And they had to develop fish ponds. They had to develop housing. They had to look at water and flood control. And so now we're folding in the environmental science, we're folding in the social science, we're folding in policy. All of these things that are real situations in our world that our kids have to interact with at some point in their lives. And it really brought out that the internet needs to be available for everybody.
The aha moment in addition to that was when the program ended and those students with their families were able to visit the pond for the very first time with all of this acquired knowledge now, including knowing how to do olis and entrance chants and things like that. That was phenomenal because that's what learning should be about, is to be an inspired learner and want to learn new things and then take that knowledge and to be able to apply it to make a meaningful difference in the place, in the communities in which you live.
The high points were being able to really get a social, emotional bond between students over distance. That was huge. And at the end, when kids were saying goodbye to each other, there were tears. And it's those tears of, I have just gone through a transformative process with you, and that process is now over. I am sad that it is over because I will look back on this with fondness.
Another week of spring break? Okay, sure. Let's relax and have fun. Then it was, oh, we're gonna do distance learning and you have to teach your kids, but we're gonna do everything online, so you just have to help them. And I was like, wait a minute.
Once all the excitement of something new kind of died down for the kids, because it was, stay at home, there was all these online activities that were available for them. Mom and dad were home all day. Then it was like, whoa, we really have to sit down in front of a computer and we're really gonna have to do this.
The trainings were coming at us left and right, and I couldn't keep up because when I went to college, we didn't have these kind of technologies. It was very overwhelming. It was very stressful. I was panic stricken. I was going through mental anxiety.
Some teachers are very adept with technology and some of the newer modes of education that we're now living in versus some of the more veteran teachers who are used to a more traditional way. I felt like it was an opportunity for all my teachers to become, a little bit more skilled.
Typically, like most schools, teachers teach in their own classroom, and it's their own private room in a sense, and administrators visit, but they don't necessarily do a lot of cross-teaching or teach within each other's classroom. So they don't know what each other's actually doing. But because they needed to support each other, true collaboration happened.
We had some of our younger generation teachers on our Kaiapuni side.
They all came together and made one site that all the kiki could go to. They would go for wa'oli together, and then they would break off into their classrooms and do their distance learning there.
All the families, so all the Kaiapuni kids would come online at the start of the school and do an oli. And so, of course, the parents were invited to join in on that. And so it became a family engagement to start off the school day.
They put up the music with the chords and
then,
meant for like the kumu and the keiki. Then you see all the makua kane in the back practicing the ukulele.
I think that was it kind of made it not seem as scary. I think for the kids to have everybody participate. If anything, it probably kind of built the bonds a little bit.
Well, at first the kids were having a hard time because they weren't used to this. So what I did was create videos for each of my lessons and then post the videos. They actually had an easier time learning with the videos because when they were confused, they could watch me teaching it over and over and over again. So it was a benefit.
I know my teachers when I walk campus or when I peer from the door. I see the enthusiasm they have, right? Trying to engage the students in
a flat two-dimensional space.
Here on this side or in Hawaii, you know, you tend to all live together because it's cheaper, and that sense of ohana helps everybody out. You know, it takes a village. Well, our house is like a village.
The troubleshooting was a learning curve for us. I mean, really basics that we adults know, but we never anticipated having to teach our child yet. Like, you know, be really careful when you see the light on your camera, because you're still on camera. If you just pull up another screen and you don't see your kumu, it doesn't mean your kumu can't see you.
What was not manageable was having 3 keiki together at home with very little space, shoddy Wi-Fi, because now everyone's on at the same time.
Like, we have one child and we just so happen to have one nook that fit one desk perfectly. So if our 2 other younger boys needed a desk, they're sitting on the floor or they're having to share her office space.
I mean, they have a hard time sharing.
My Keiki's kumu asked them to make videos and different things that they're doing in this time of COVID. So it was, do you ho'ikai ka kino? Do you exercise every day? Make a video of it, load it, send it to me. We're gonna upload it to the website. So the keiki got to see their friends, not only in class, but they got to see them with their families. So that's one of the greatest things that I really loved about it, was it brought the families together.
We're doing much more together as with her than we would otherwise.
Yeah, we're kind of forced
like the surfing.
The surfing, the fishing, the mala action.
I think it kind of.
That was a blessing in disguise.
That was a blessing in disguise, definitely.
We're a little bit more adept to the learning or the experiences that students need to have in order to succeed in school, and we forget the struggles that students and families may have. So I feel like this pandemic really made everyone aware. They can understand that if a student is struggling in school, there's a lot of other factors that come into play, like your home life.
We love our students. We love our kids and we love our families. So when this all happened, that was a goal of ours, to make sure that our kids had continuity and they could feel our love for them. I think we did a good job trying to get them to feel that love, even though we were teaching virtually.
In addressing these challenges, it really starts with a mindset of a group of people really knowing that we have to focus on the children. Everything else is secondary.
If we keep students at the forefront of every action, right? Letting them know that, yeah, this is difficult, and when things are difficult, you know, we keep working.
Some of the silver linings was that our staff really came closer together, you know, just understood that what was needing to be done was just, you know, how can we support the students the best we could.
Education has changed. It's going to be different. COVID-19 has caused us to do things differently and maybe even better.
We can do this online. We can teach virtually. For anyone out there who's having a hard time on technology, don't give up.
Everybody in the world is going through this. And what an opportunity to really come together as a global community while maintaining our own cultural values and identities.
So in this pandemic time, think about the opportunities now that we've been given to reset that view about how learning occurs. We have amazing opportunities and resources that we haven't even discovered yet or connected in ways that can really underscore the vitality and the aspiration and the inspiration that it takes to have our kids become successful and the best that they could be.